Good morning, everybody. Sorry we're a little late. Welcome to Coffee and Conversation this morning. It's a beautiful day here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania where I'm sitting. I think it's the same for you, Joe, in the great state of New Jersey, and for you, Michelle, in New York.
Beautiful day.
Gary, Kenna, you said you're looking forward to coffee conversation and cat butt. We're not going to have cat butt today unless Michelle's cat wants to show us.
I know he might, or one of them.
butt.
You never know.
Yeah, Tara is not joining us today. Unfortunately,
my butt.
It's almost as cute as a cat butt. But I can show you my dog who's licking his butt right now as he's sitting next to me. Gross. So yeah, Tara's not here with us today, but that's okay. We'll try to hold down the fort. Ladies, what a week. What's going on?
Well, we were up into the wee hours of last night talking about everything. It's certainly been, this week was another roller coaster, right? Like the people high.
Yeah. And then the Baraka low.
Right. Oh God. I don't know. Michelle, what are you thinking?
I remember in the beginning of the Biden administration just feeling like it's a little boring, and this is great. I love boring, but here we are. It's like Americans didn't really feel like they wanted calm, safe America. They wanted chaotic America because, they just wanted to test the waters and see how far we could go. And here we are. And, we were all in the group chat this morning, really frustrated about the Democratic Party and Democratic leadership. Like, there's a mayor of Newark who was arrested by federal agents today, and 3 members of Congress roughed up. And I would love to know where they are. They're not saying anything. MSNBC seems to be the only network that is covering this. And this is just, again, where I have to ask the question into the void. Do you all not realize you're next?
Well, I think for people who don't know, there are a lot of layers to this that I think are political that we should call out because it's bullshit. Sorry, Dad, but it is bullshit. Ras Baraka is the mayor of Newark. In about a month, almost the day, about 4 weeks from Tuesday, or maybe even 3 weeks from Tuesday, New Jersey is going to have a primary for governor. And it's an open seat. Governor Phil Murphy is a 2-term governor. He is a Democrat. He cannot run again constitutionally. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus, for a number of reasons. So there are people who are going to run, obviously on the Democratic side, to fill the void there. One of those people is Ras Baraka. Do I think Baraka did this yesterday partially because he understood that there was a possibility that things could go this way and that he was going to get a tremendous amount of media attention for doing it? Yes. Do I think it was still necessary to do? Yes. Not just for political reasons, but also for the fact that, for people who don't know, ICE was, and we had James G., his senior advisor, on last night. For those of you who joined us, thank you. But ICE has had this detention facility in Eastern Newark at a place called Delaney Hall, which is a former county jail, I believe, if not a municipal jail. I think it's a county jail. And it's totally dilapidated, which is why they moved prisoners to a brand new spanking county jail and let a private company take over Delaney Hall to house migrants. Baraka, as the mayor of Newark, is responsible for the code of that building, for the zoning. He needs to make sure that it's up to snuff because ultimately, it's a very old building and might collapse. So he showed up yesterday along with 3 members of Congress to do oversight, as he has to do as the mayor of Newark. Now, was it partially performative? Okay, yes. But what ICE did is he went and he looked around, and then he was going to come back with these members of Congress. Between when he left and when he came back, they, being ICE, decided that they were going to make an example out of Ras Baraka. They arrested him. They manhandled the members of Congress, and then they lied about it. They said the members of Congress were creating a ruckus. The members of Congress actually were allowed into Delaney Hall, as they should be, because they are federal officials doing their oversight responsibilities. On their way out, ICE swarmed them, and again, in their own performative thing, physically jostled them. If you saw the video, maybe Michelle, you could play that video again, but if you saw that video, you'd see 3 members of Congress, in particular, Bonnie Watson Coleman, the Congresswoman of New Jersey 12, Central New Jersey, who is an 80-year-old. And I know, I'm sorry, Congresswoman, I know I keep bringing up how old you are. I'm sure you don't love it, but the reality is she is 80 years old. She is not a large woman. I don't care if she were 25 and a 6-foot tall glamazon. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But she happens to be a small 80-year-old woman. And she was jostled, and she was, if it weren't for the fact that her staff and others created a protective ring around her, it could have really led to something bad. And so that's what happened. And in a minute, Michelle's going to play the video.
Yeah, I have it ready whenever you're ready.
Why don't you play the video, and then I'll talk about the politics of this and why everybody's quiet.
Get off of her! You cannot push it! You cannot hold this! You can't push members of Congress! Get off of her!
You are fascist! Fascist!
Get off of her! Oh, yes, yes. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Put your hands on me. If it's harassed, you know that's wrong. Women like that.
Okay.
And that's that.
That guy in handcuffs being escorted is Mayor Ras Baraka, the duly elected mayor of Newark, New Jersey. The woman in the trench coat is Bonnie Watson Coleman, with the short hair, if you saw, being manhandled. There's a man in a blue jacket kind of running around saying, "Get your hands off her." That is Congressman Rob Menendez, who represents part of Newark. He is from Hudson County, New Jersey, but represents part of Newark.
And his dad is
Bob Menendez, but we don't hold that against him.
Right. And his sister is Alicia.
And his sister is Alicia Menendez, who's an anchor at MSNBC, who's a wonderful person. So understand what's happening here. ICE knew they were coming. ICE wanted to make a spectacle of this. At the same time that Stephen Miller is saying they're considering suspending habeas corpus. This is their predicate to martial law.
Yep.
And I'm not a fantasist and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It is just very obvious what is happening. Yep. Elia Fumano, you said that he's a good Menendez. There's 2 good Menendezes. The sister Alicia is also a wonderful Menendez. And what's happening?
Part of the reason. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Julie.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
Part of the reason my hair is soaking wet and my face is not necessarily on is because I was up this morning writing my Substack about this. And it is what you just said 100%, but it is also, this is a message, right? That this is what I wrote. Yesterday in the full light of day, we watched as an 80-year-old congresswoman, a woman who has spent her life in service to this nation, was shoved and shamed by those sworn to protect us. This wasn't just a lapse in decorum. It was a display of brute force and power used without hesitation, even against an elderly woman. This was meant to send a message. Speak out and you will be next. That's part of it too, Julie. This is right. It was theater, but it wasn't meaningless. It wasn't insignificant. It was a spectacle, but to send several messages. But that martial law is coming, that they can do whatever they want. They can suspend habeas corpus. They can arrest you without, due process. They could do whatever they want. But also, if you show up and you protest and you stand in the breach, we will arrest you. We will push you. We will shove you. Even if you are, and again, apologies, no shame in her game. Even if you are a small 80-year-old woman, they will still push you and shove you. So you should be afraid. They want us perpetually afraid. And yesterday's display, that 90 million flying monkeys motorcade, that is all part of the performance for us to be afraid to speak out, stand up, because that's their fear, is that if we do,
you should show that. Do we have that video of that motorcade that I took? So
Yep.
before you show that video, I just want people to know, I actually went over to Delaney Hall yesterday. For people who didn't watch us last night, I was driving to Pennsylvania from New York City, where I live. I heard about this. I think Michelle told me about this. I should not have been looking at my phone while I was driving. Bad, bad, bad. Mom and Dad, I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't do that. I happened to glance down at my phone and I saw this happening, and I used my voice. I did not type. I used my voice and I said, where is this? And Michelle told me, and I had my 12-year-old in the car, and this is probably mother of the year behavior on my part, but I said to him,
I mean, it is in my opinion, quite frankly.
Probably not in the opinion of my parents who are watching right now and are probably calling child services on me. But I said to him, we got to go to this place. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, we got to go to this place. It's happening. We got to see what's happening. So we drove to Delaney Hall. By the time I got there, it was, all was left was the media and masked DHS people. If these people are proud of what they're doing, my friends, take off the fucking mask. Excuse me, Dad, but it's true. Yeah. Why are you wearing a mask?
Right. They're trying to be all John Cena about it. Like, you can't see me.
Yeah. These are the same people, by the way, who are now banning masks. They want to ban masks on campuses. They want to ban masks in public because they don't want anybody wearing masks because of COVID. But yet when they want to cover up their own mask, their own behavior, that's okay, right?
Masks were banned. Sorry, I was going to say really quick. Masks are banned at the Kennedy Center now. And if you are a patron who goes to the Kennedy Center and you have a mask on, you have to bring a doctor's note. Otherwise, they will not let you in the front door.
Yeah, but meanwhile, DHS outside has no problem wearing masks. So that's what I saw. Then the creepiest part of this, and Michelle is going to show this video, and I don't think anybody's covered this, frankly, because I don't think anybody was on Route 78 like I was yesterday. And this is a complete coincidence. We're leaving Delaney Hall. I was told that Mayor Baraka was transported to 620 Frelinghuysen Avenue, which is in a different part of Newark, which is the ICE facility in Newark. That's what I was told. We start driving down Route 78, which is, if you don't know this area, is the interstate leading from basically the start, Eastern New Jersey, all the way through to Pennsylvania. It goes right past Bedminster, as a matter of fact, Trump's golf course, like right past it. But as we're leaving Newark, all of a sudden, there's an express lane, and there's an express lane, and there's a local lane. We're in the express lane, and we look over the local lane, and literally parallel to us is what you're about to see. Because I had my 12-year-old take a video of this because I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I wanted some evidence of this. A motorcade, as far as the eye can see, a motorcycle motorcade, bringing up a unmarked paddy wagon, effectively a van with blacked out windows. I don't know if it was Ross Baraka in there, because I was told he was being taken to a detention facility in Newark, and this was exiting Newark and going west, frankly, towards Bedminster, although it's not where they were going. And all they were wearing were either, if you see the yellow jackets in this video, yellow jackets that said police on them without discerning which police department it is. I've never seen that before. Usually it would say Newark Police Department or NYPD or LAPD, whatever police department you belong to, they have to specify which police it is. This just said police. And the others that weren't wearing police were, I kid you not, wearing brown shirts and brown jackets that said sheriff on them. Which sheriff's office? Essex County, Newark is in the Essex County. I know the Essex County sheriff's officers, and their clothes. I know what they would wear. They would wear a jacket, a flak jacket that would say Essex County Sheriff on it. So, sheriff, what sheriff? I mean, Boss Hogg, what sheriff? Sheriff, Hogg,
just Spirit Halloween Sheriff.
Yeah, just Spirit Halloween Sheriff, like Hazard County Sheriff. Like what sheriff are you? What sheriff are you? No demarcation. The van had been sprayed. I showed it to my husband, who is a criminal lawyer, so he deals with this a lot. He'd never seen anything like it. They spray painted what is obviously a van belonging to some law enforcement organization, but they spray painted over the demarcation of who that is. So all of this is insane. And I know there are people here joining us. I saw somebody here from Australia.
Yeah.
I know there are people here joining us from Canada and other parts of the country, world. I want you to understand that in the entire history of my life in the United States, and I think I could speak for the three of us here, nothing like this has ever happened. I have never seen anything like this.
No.
It is, you said, Peter Amadeo, I said Trump's Gestapo. I hate to make Hitler analogies because there's only one Adolf Hitler. Yes, you're not far off.
Yeah.
Why don't you show this video, Michelle? Because I want
will.
people to understand what I'm saying.
And Julie, you sent a picture to us in the group chat yesterday too. Do you remember? There was like a picture of the van. Can you send that to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull it. Hold
Great.
on. Understand.
Just play this.
We're going the speed limit as we're taking this picture, so I want everybody.
I'm going to show this again just because it's like, it's so jarring. That's the thing is like, they're doing it and no one's saying anything. And like, that's the details that are surrounding this are so chilling and so awful. And again, like this is just another test balloon to see what they can get away with. And they just continue to move the goalpost and the goalpost and the goalpost. And until things get bad enough that they've laid enough brick and foundation to declare martial law, to suspend the Constitution, to
it's on my son's phone, so I'm going to just ask him to send it to me.
Okay, it's in the chat. I'll find it.
Okay, but yeah, it's you guys. I know we typically start off with like light conversation, and we're starting off with all sorts of stuff about what we did this week, and happy to talk about that part too. But this is like I don't know what this is, because I think a lot of us warned that this was going to happen before the election. And I think everybody thought it was hyperbole, and everybody thought it was kind of like, oh, you're being hysterical. And, the reality is it's happening. I saw it with my own eyes. I mean, you saw the video of it because I knew there would be some people, some trolls somewhere around who'd be like, no, this never happened. You just saw what I saw.
And we're only a few months into this.
Here it is.
We're only a few months in.
Here it is.
Yeah.
That's the van.
What is that?
I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens in Hungary. That's the kind of thing that happens in Russia.
Right.
Yeah.
Which there's a reason why they invited Viktor Orban to Texas to speak at CPAC. There's a reason why they had a CPAC in Budapest.
Yeah.
It's because it's the Orban playbook that they planned and are now implementing his agenda and his playbook.
Yeah. Yep.
Now,
and
those windows were blacked out. We tried very hard to peer into those windows, blacked out.
We don't know who's in there, right? But we know that it was surrounded by, and I'm sorry, but the visual of that really does remind me of the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz. I know maybe it's not appropriate to reference that, but that's what it feels like watching it, because it's supposed to be menacing. It's supposed to be visceral. It's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be a show of force that is supposed to intimidate. That is by design. And what I keep coming back to, what I cannot stop thinking about, is how everybody in my replies, all up in the chat, the trolls, keep telling me to cry harder because this is what they voted for. And I know that in many ways it's a cult, but do they really think that this won't come for them too? Do they?
Yeah, they do. They don't have any
for their followers. Do they think that the autocrats that they're not building prisons for the useful and graves for the rest? Like, do they think they're special truly? I can't get past that.
Well, I think it's like, well, we're part of the group. We're part of the clan. We're part of the cult. Like they're like, we would never do that to each other.
They belong, right? They feel like this, they feel like Donald Trump has taken a bunch of people that have felt disenfranchised for whatever psychological reasons they felt disenfranchised, and they now feel like they belong to something. There are others like them. They have developed communities online.
Which is what cults do. They
have
find
developed,
people.
yeah, they have to, yes, exactly right. And you know, it is much harder to join a cult if your life is going well. But it is easier for somebody to say to you, hey, you know what? We understand how you feel and it's not your fault. It's those women, they won't sleep with you. They've gotten too uppity. It's those Black people who've taken your jobs, or those Latinos who've taken your jobs. And that's why you're not doing well. And the reason that you can't, like, there's always somebody to blame. There's no personal responsibility. But I will say again, because I bring up history a lot all the time, and I said this yesterday, I beg of you, my cultist friends, crack open a book about Germany in 1945 and read about those men who came back from the war, who had raised their right arm to salute the Fuhrer, and think about what their life was like. They came back destroyed men. I have a very, 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 very close friend who is German, and she's older, and her father was, because he had to be, not because he was a member of the Nazi party, but because as a young man, he was conscripted into the army. He came back and never talked about it again, but she said he was a broken man.
Yeah.
But to go back to what we started off with as to why this, why our Democratic leaders aren't saying anything. And I want people to understand how cynical this is, right? So as I said, there's a Democratic primary happening in a month. Ras Baraka is running. Fine. There are a lot of other wonderful qualified people running, 2 of whom are members of Congress, Mikey Sherrill from the 11th Congressional District and Josh Gottheimer from the 5th Congressional District of New Jersey. They're both running. I presume that Hakeem Jeffries does not want to elevate Ras Baraka at the expense of 2 of his members, only one of whom will still be in the House, assuming that the other becomes a governor, or both of them may be in the House if neither of them becomes governor. But the reality is he'll have to deal with at least one of them, and he's not sure which one. And plus, he wants to have a good relationship with the governor of New Jersey, because the governor of New Jersey there's a lot of overlap between New York and New Jersey. And this goes for Chuck Schumer too, the Port Authority, the governor can veto minutes from the Port Authority. I mean, the governor of New Jersey, who's a powerful, smart governor, which we haven't really had, knows how to use the levers of.
How do you really feel, Julie?
Yeah, I mean, not a fan of Phil Murphy, but knows how to use the levers of his power to screw New York if they so choose, right? Including using the Port Authority and other means to do that. So they don't want to elevate Ras Baraka because they think that it might impact, you know, their friends from their caucus in the primaries. And I will tell you, I do politics my whole life for a living, including in New Jersey. And I will tell you, there are more important things than the fucking governor's race in New Jersey.
Thank you. Amen. That's the thing.
So please, Chuck Schumer and Jeffries, why don't you get your ass over to Delaney Hall and hold a press conference?
Yeah.
And by the way, how many times is our party going to sacrifice justice for optics? Like, hello, Merrick Garland. Hello, slow walking.
They're so afraid to do anything that they do nothing.
Right, exactly. And so what happens in that space is that it becomes normalized. Is that you end up with a felon for a president because you slow walked justice because you were worried about the political optics. Fuck that. Sorry, Julie's dad. He's already mad at Julie because she drove his grandson to a police party. But fuck that. I don't fucking care about the
I'm going to be disowned.
If I say one more fucking strongly worded letter, I swear.
I mean, Cory Booker, God bless. I love him 63 days out of the year, except for this day today that, like, I am not happy that he just put like a tweet thread. I'm like, that's it?
Oh, well, that'll fix it. Michelle, don't you know that that'll fix it?
I mean, obviously, it's like, I'm gonna. I don't. Here's the thing. It's like they're so afraid of like losing an election now. It's like, again, we are acting out of fear. What is the one thing that we're not supposed to do is give into fear. And that is what they're doing. And it's not strategic. I'm sorry. It's just not. This is stupid. Because here's the thing. If we don't fight back against this, then there will not be an election to win. And like, that's the reality here that I don't think enough people are facing. Because, you know, Rachel Maddow was on Stephen Colbert the other night for a really great conversation. And, she said, to your point, Julie, about the people who were being called hysterical, she's like, the people, the naysayers, the doomsday people who were saying, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. They were right. And I was sitting there with my husband and I was like, me. And I don't enjoy being right about this. None of us do. The three of us sitting here, we knew, and we don't want to be right about this. I would love to be so painfully wrong that I have to, bury my head in a pillow and never come out of my apartment. Like, I want to be that wrong about this, but unfortunately I'm not. We're not. And it's only going to get worse. And one of the things, and if I'm remembering correctly, she did talk about this, like about elections in 2026. And we're in some serious danger right now of them either not happening because of martial law or suspension of the Constitution. He'll just say there's an emergency, we're not going to have an election, or there will be some sort of funny business because, I mean, that's also, and again, like, we on the left, or the people, who were not MAGA, have been screaming about the January 6ers and the Stop the Steal people, which they were wrong. And they were making shit up about the election being stolen. The election was not stolen in 2020. But unfortunately now, and like, they have built enough of the foundation, they've laid the bricks now, so that if we say it, we sound crazy and we sound like hypocrites. But these people are crafty and they have no shame. They cannot be shamed about any of this.
No, another sort of nuanced option here, because I'm watching what he's doing with everything, including these tariff negotiations, including his Russia, Ukraine, both sides. I want the war to end, but I'm not doing anything to make sure that Putin feels like he needs to stop invading them. He does this 2 weeks thing where everything is slow walked when it's actually not happening. We're all being gaslit the entire time. There's actually something happening. Like, I would not be at all shocked or surprised. And then, by the way, follow this thread through to then what? If he was like, oh, there's some funny business in the midterms. We want to make sure that the elections are completely secure before we go ahead and hold them. We're looking into it very strongly. We're going to delay. We're going to put this off a couple of weeks till we make sure that it's 100% safe. And then it's weeks go by, and then it's months go by. And then what are they doing? They're swearing in a new Congress, or they're not swearing in anyone at all. And it's just the same fucking Congress. And then it's like, well, what do we do? The mechanisms, the levers of power are still in their hands. Where's Batman? Where's Superman? Where's Wonder Woman?
I wish Batman was real.
That's when we got to call Canada and be like, can you bring your hockey sticks? Can you please come down here, Carney, and start kicking elbows up? Because no one else is coming to save us. But like, what do we do in that? What happens? What happens? There's no one to call. They suspend the Constitution. They declare martial law. They continue to have the same people in Congress. We don't have elections. And then it's what then? Like, what then? What? Protest? Great. Then they arrest all of us. They put us in these paddy wagons and they cart us off with 72 flying monkey motorcycles to God knows where in friggin' Libya. Like, I know it also sounds histrionic, but I too, Michelle, am tired of being told to calm down. They told me to calm down in 2016. They told me, oh, the office, he'll be humbled by the office. The generals will keep him in line. There's too many institutionalists. They're all going, there's guardrails in place. You're being histrionic. You need to come. I'm not being histrionic, and I'm tired of being told to calm down, because back then we had a whole lot better shot of stopping where we are now than we do now. But we still have this moment right now. We still have this moment, and we need to do every fucking thing we possibly can. And yeah, as our conversation on Wednesday reminded us, with Charlie, we have to protest. We have to get out on the streets. We have to make them we have to be impossible to ignore. What else can we do?
But see, I think, Joe, I think this whole point yesterday, I think they want protests, because I think doesn't mean that we shouldn't do this, but I think they want protests. I think they're waiting for Newark to explode, because Donald Trump has been around a long time. He was around for the Newark riots in the late 60s, which created massive upheaval that to this day affects not just Newark, but a lot of other now African-American cities in New Jersey. Like, those were, I wasn't around for them, but from what I understand from people who were, those were such an impact. They had a massive impact. I don't know if you ever watched the Sopranos movie that they made, the prequel, but
they did? I didn't see
yeah,
that.
but they talk about the Newark riots and what was going on. And
Mm.
basically led to white flight out of Newark and created a whole bunch of just awful segregation, and it's awful. I think he wants Newark to explode again. I think they did this so that you had a visual of a bunch of predominantly African American people showing up to protect their mayor, as they should have, because he is their duly elected mayor. And it would have had a great visual of all of these angry African American people showing up. And they would have gone on Fox, and they would have gone on Newsmax and Joe Rogan and all their other bullshit podcasts. And they would have said, see, this is what we're protecting you from. We've got to institute martial law, or else those people are going to start coming to your house and they're going to start doing this to you.
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, again, if people would just pick up a history book, for God's sakes, it's like they would know about the Night of the Long Knives, and they would know about all these things that were happening in 1930s Germany, where, again, like, the people who don't think it's going to come to them, it does. Eventually it does, because these people are crazy, they're power hungry, and they will just run out of people to lock up and murder and round up and put in camps. They will just run out of people. Like, they'll just keep rounding everyone up until there's no one left.
I mean, I ended my Substack today with first they came for, right? That poem. That's where we are. You know, they came for everyone else until they came for me. This is your chance to stand up and speak out for the others, for the people that they're coming for now, because history, I say this all the time, we know I say this all the time, doesn't repeat, but it is rhyming like fucking shit right now, friends. Like, this is a playbook we have seen over and over throughout the course of time. And denying that is the definition of insanity. You know, we have an opportunity. I know that this often falls on deaf ears, and that's really challenging. But I do believe that there are people who maybe aren't fully baked in. Maybe they're not fully, in the cult, who are like, they're already feeling it, and they're going to be feeling it more and more. And I just feel like maybe they are still reachable, or maybe the people who didn't vote, if we have another election, like, maybe they will be motivated and inspired to do so because we know we don't have to guess at what happens on the end of this. We've seen this movie before many times.
I mean, many times. You see it in Hungary today. You see it in Russia today. I mean, we don't have to even go back to the 1930s.
Right.
Or like what's going on right now. You see it in Brazil, you saw it in Chile in the 70s. You see it in El Salvador.
Yeah.
You see it all the time. But I want to move on to, I'm sorry. Right before we got on, the Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, let me stress, this is no liberal, from the little trolls in the chat who are helping up our algorithm. We thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
But for you guys, if you're not aware, the Wall Street Journal is the sister newspaper of Fox News. It is owned by Rupert Murdoch, as is Fox News. So again, this is not the Daily Kos here. It is the Wall Street Journal. The headline is I'm going to do a Substack on this on Monday because I love this so much. Trump promised to end 2 wars quickly. In private, he admits he's frustrated. The president has told donors resolving the conflicts has been more difficult than he thought. You mean you can't tweet your way out of the fucking Israeli-Palestinian conflict, or you can't send a few mean tweets about Putin and Zelensky and have them just give up, what they want to give up? I'm shocked. And by the way, for all the little trolls who said, well, at least he didn't start any wars and no war started in his watch.
Hi, India.
I welcome you to what is going on the Indian subcontinent right now.
Yeah.
The nuclear armed India now at war with the nuclear armed failed state of Pakistan. So you're welcome, guys. We are as close to a nuclear war right now as we have been since the Cuban Missile Crisis, because both of these countries, including, let me stress again, the failed state of Pakistan, which is ruled by sort of a military junta, they're at war, not about to go to war. They're at war with each other, and they have nukes pointed at each other. Thank you, Donald Trump.
I just want to,
interrupted casinos.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to address this. I thought I loved this channel. I followed Tara from the LP. When did this channel turn into preachy white women? Hi, Teresa. Thanks so much for coming. Yes, Tara did work at the Lincoln Project. So did I for 4 years. I was the creative director. Tara was my colleague. We left the Lincoln Project for reasons that I'm not going to get into right now. But we are here having important conversations about what is going on in this country. Thanks for coming. If you don't like what we have to say, you don't have to be here. But we hope that you'll stay. And I just felt that I needed to just address that, because I'm sorry that you don't think that what we have to say is important. But for your sake, I hope that you'll listen.
Yeah, and also I'm sorry that we're white women. Tara cannot be with us today. I don't know if you joined us in the beginning. Tara could not be here. She'll be here next week. So there will be some diversity to this whiny preaching. But we hope you do join us, because
I just want, the idea that we're preaching. Yeah. So what are our choices? To be silent and to accept?
Apparently.
Right. So, or are we supposed to say the things in the way that you want us to say them based on the color of our skin? Because I don't understand what the rules are, and actually, I don't give a fuck.
Well, and also, and also just the mention of our previous place of employment here is just like, for a lot of people, unfortunately, this information just seems a lot more credible coming out of the mouths of white men. But, that's part of the reason why we left and we started Seneca Project. We wanted to do something else because we felt that these messages were important coming from our mouths and our brains and our hearts. So,
we should
do what you want. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Anyways, I could say a whole lot more right now, but I'm not going to. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
Well,
yeah.
No, it's not. It is a dialogue. Thank you, Medusa. Mm-hmm. 64. That's a great name, actually. I don't know why I just went down the Clash of Titans rabbit hole in my brain, but that was really great.
What a great movie, the original, not the remake.
Original Harry Hamlin, right?
Harry Hamlin with Laurence Olivier.
Yes,
and the animatronic Kraken. Amazing.
Yes, I mean, love that movie. Like that CGI holds up. I'm kidding, it doesn't, but it is still a great movie. Like the whole.
You ever seen it, Michelle?
Wait, what is it? Sorry, I was reading the comments. What did you say?
Clash of the
Titans, the original Clash of the Titans, the Laurence Olivier, Mark Hamill.
Okay, so it was on WPIX, Julie. All right, it was on WPIX probably every freaking Sunday
24/7,
literally on all the time.
24/7.
It's probably been on in the background. I'm sure I'm going to get a text from my mother that's like, "You've seen it."
Oh my god! Once you see it, you can't forget it. So I'm not sure, but you got to watch it.
Yeah.
Is it claymation, stop motion, whatever you call that? It's, I think the
one with Medusa was definitely stop motion, like claymation.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I love claymation.
Right.
I love
Rankin and Bass claymation. Like this is
like Gumby.
Yeah. Gumby was total Gumby claymation.
Gumby was it. Yeah. Gumby was it.
Clash of the Titans.
Not unless you've seen the Medusa from Clash of the original 1980, whatever it was, Clash of the Titans. And by the way, with a stellar cast, like Maggie Smith was in it, Laurence Olivier was in it. Like, you had like Academy Award winning British.
Who was the hot chick? Who was that? There was
Ursula Andress was the hot chick.
There you go.
Ursula Andress was in it, the first Bond girl. Yes. Yeah, I think Ursula Andress. Yeah, I mean, like top to bottom, this incredible cast, and Harry Hamlin, who was easy on the eyes. Let's be honest, was pretty hot.
Very shirtless. Very scantily clad.
Who hero. I think then proceeded, if I'm not mistaken, to have a relationship with Ursula Andress, even though she was much older than he was. And I think they have a child before he went Real Housewives.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Well, but then he went to LA Law. Which is
he was
Wait, LA Law, like the TV show?
Yeah.
Yes. Did you ever watch it? You might have been
La
Law.
Yeah.
Like cast. LA Gear. I feel like my grandmother used to call LA Gear La Gear or something like that. Anyways, all the things with LA in it.
I used to call Chick-fil-A Chick-fil-A. I thought it was Chick-fil-A for like 20 years.
I thought meme was Mimi, and I thought GIF was GIF, and I thought CompUSA was Compusa. And so I was like, Compusa, that's the stupidest name for a store. And so I was like, CompUSA. Well, don't even get me started on LinkedIn. I don't know how to say LinkedIn still.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, really
wait. Wait, we're just really quick. Did you guys see, sorry, this is sort of but did you see Chris Murphy kind of like handing it to Kristi Noem the other
He's
day?
amazing.
Yes, amazing.
Because I have
see
part of
that.
the clip here if you guys want to see it, because it is, and I think it also lends itself to the conversation we're having about like the federal government, federal law enforcement and stuff. It's like, what are they doing? Do they, and that's the thing, it's like, I think the little part of me that finds any bit of solace or like hope here is the fact that they're all so grossly incompetent and stupid and just kind of like cosplaying federal law enforcement that like they'll get so caught up in themselves that they kind of forget what they're doing. That's kind of my only hope here, but I'm just going to play this because there was a hearing, which is pretty common. Like the agencies go to Congress and they have to talk about what it is that they're doing. This is about the budget for Department of Homeland Security. Oh, hello.
Because Congress has oversight over that.
Yes.
A little
Show us Kappa.
My husband brought me my Saturday matcha. Thank you,
smoothie. I thought
Joe.
we
You're grabbing a can.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah.
no, this is my morning matcha. Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah, they have to go before them for their budget in particular. But
now.
Right.
also Congress is the branch that has oversight, which is why those Congress members, to bring this full circle, we're at Delaney. But before you get to Chris Murphy, by the way, since the beard, Chris Murphy has like dark Chris Murphy, and I was in North Carolina, as we know, and I got to meet him, and he's very yes, I'm a chick. I like dudes. Okay, whatever. But he's hot as fuck, and I flirt with him online. It's fine. He was married. He's not anymore. But whatever. But
he's getting a divorce. That's why I was like, oh, he's growing a divorce beard.
Yeah, divorce. It's also I feel like it's like a playoff hockey beard too. Where he's
isn't he dating? He's dating some woman who owns some Anyway, sorry. Not my business. Not my business. Yeah.
But I've seen him speak in person now. And I'm telling you guys, like I tweeted this about this clip you're going to play or part of the whole thing. He is a fighter, guys. He is.
Big time.
He's no bullshit. He's the real deal. Like just off the top of his head, speaking in front of that crowd in North Carolina, I was blown away. So yeah, this is a great clip. He fucking sued her, which I love.
He's great. To piggyback on that, ever since Sandy Hook, I have been like, who is this guy? Yep. He's fantastic. I've just been a big fan since then.
And he helped Biden launch the Office of Gun Violence Protection or Prevention. I mean, and also if Kristi Noem could have reacted facially with expressions to what he was doing.
She's not capable.
Yeah. She would have been very upset, probably crying. But I don't think her face can move at this point. So this is Kristi Noem at a 10 in terms of shame and disrupt. Sorry, go ahead.
With seriousness and respect, but your department is out of control. You are spending like you don't have a budget. You're on the verge of running out of money for the fiscal year. You are illegally refusing to spend funds that have been authorized by this Congress and appropriated by this committee. You are ignoring the immigration laws of this nation, implementing a brand new immigration system that you have invented that has little relation to the statutes that you are required, that you are commanded to follow, as spelled out in your oath of office. You are routinely violating the rights of immigrants who may not be citizens, but whether you like it or not, they have constitutional and statutory rights when they reside in the United States. Your agency acts as if laws don't matter, as if the election gave you some mandate to violate the Constitution and the laws passed by this Congress. It did not give you that mandate. You act as if your disagreement with the law, or even the public's disagreement with the law, is relevant and gives you the ability to create your own law. It does not give you that ability. Let's start with your spending. You are on track to trigger the Anti-Deficiency Act. That means you are going to spend more money than you have been allocated by Congress. This is a rare occurrence, and it is wildly illegal. Your agency will be broke by July, over 2 months before the end of the fiscal year. You may not think that Congress has provided enough money to ICE, but the Constitution and the federal law does not allow you to spend more money than you have been given or to invent money. And this obsession with spending at the border, as the chairwoman mentioned, has left the country unprotected elsewhere. The security threats to the United States are higher, not lower, before Trump came to office. To fund the border, you have illegally gutted spending for cybersecurity. As we speak, Russian and Chinese hackers are having a field day attacking our nation. You've withdrawn funds for disaster prevention. Storms are going to kill more people in this country because of your illegal withholding of these funds. Your myopia about the border, fueled by President Trump's prejudice against people who speak a different language, has shattered many of this country's most important defenses. I acknowledge that you don't believe that people should be able to apply for asylum, but you don't get to choose that. The White House doesn't get to choose that. The law requires you to process people who are showing up at the border and who claim asylum. Why? Because our asylum law is a bipartisan commitment, an effort to correct for our nation's unconscionable decision to deny entry to Jews to this country who were being hunted and killed by the Nazis. Our nation, Republicans and Democrats, decided, wrote it into law, that we would not repeat that horror ever again, and thus we would allow for people who were fleeing terror and torture to come here, arrive at the border, and make a case for asylum.
Yeah.
And you didn't see Noam's face, not
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try to find a picture because
but the reality is she was
good.
She's like what's apparent to me is that they don't really care about they've subsumed Congress, but they don't really care, right? Like, I've blown my budget, so what? I'll just keep funding. Like, there's no limits to it. And by the way, if I violate the law, that's okay, because the president will pardon me, and it's not like anybody's going to hold him accountable because John Roberts has allowed him to do whatever he wants.
And many of them were put in these positions to dismantle the agencies they're tapped to lead. Kash Patel said the same shit yesterday or 2 days ago with Patty Murray. She's, where's your budget? Oh, I'm working on it. We're working on what? Right. But he doesn't care. They don't care. They don't care. They're going to run out of money. They don't care. They don't want Congress to have any oversight over them. They want to be able to do whatever they want. So if they're not taking Congress's money anymore, they'll get their money from who the fuck knows? Doge? I don't know. Bitcoin? I don't know. They'll get their money from where nefarious foreign adversaries or whatever. They'll just take it from us. They don't want Congress to have any oversight. They don't feel beholden to Congress, and they are telling Congress now. And the fact that any Republicans, or that all of the Republicans, voted to confirm these assholes, to again punch themselves in the dick, like, it makes you want to scream.
And can we talk about, speaking of confirmation? So you had Tom Tillis, who woke up and said, "Oh shit, I have an election next year. Maybe I better remember." Oh, a bunch. Yeah.
She looks like she just got done with Corey Lewandowski.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh God.
Sorry.
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute because I was trying to record this.
Sorry.
Corey Lewandowski. Okay.
Sorry,
we were talking about, I'm not going to say why we were talking about Corey Lewandowski yesterday, but.
Well, let's stress why we were talking about Corey Lewandowski, because we're the only 3 women apparently in anywhere 100 miles of Corey Lewandowski who've never actually been with Corey Lewandowski.
I don't understand.
Yeah, and plus his wife. There's the 4th one. His wife has not been with him either, but everybody else.
I know that politics isn't, Hollywood. Like, not everyone, it's like, I get it, but come on, just what? Okay. I don't understand it's not like he's some powerful orator or, really smart.
Corey.
What?
Hori Corey. Well, somebody said Hori Lewandowski. It's Hori Corey. All right. This is inappropriate. We would never say this about a woman. We're being very, very, very sexist here.
Well, I'm okay with shaming Corey Lewandowski. Yeah, they do.
It's hold on. Sent pic on messages. Sorry, my mom's texting me. I just don't understand. And I remember when the news broke about, where'd Joe go? We just lost her. Oh, she did. I wasn't listening.
Yeah,
is that what she texted?
We got to move off the Corey Lewandowski thing ASAP.
Darn it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, face frozen by fillers. Yes, she gets a lot of fillers, and she has a lot of Botox and a lot of hair extensions, and she also shoots dogs. So there's that.
Each their own. I actually don't mind that she's got a lot of fillers and Botox.
Yeah, listen, I have Botox in my forehead.
Whatever it takes to make you feel good about yourself, you should do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is the dog thing is what bothers me.
Yeah.
And also the fact that she runs the Gestapo organization. That also bothers me. And also the fact that she's the former governor of South Dakota. Congratulations. Or North Dakota. Which one is she? One of the Dakotas.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen. I don't even know where we were because Cora Lewandowski threw
I
me
know.
off.
I was just so distracted by that
Yeah.
whole mess of a thing. But you know, I just I think that the fact that they don't care is kind of where we were, because they don't care. I mean, the Kash Patel, I wish I had the clip here. Kash Patel talking to Patty Murray during his meeting with the Senate. Um, it was just crazy. I mean, she was like, "Well, where's the budget? Like, how are we supposed to allocate money to you if we don't have, like, you know, your projections?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, you'll get it. Oh, you'll get it." And she was like, "Well, that's kind of an unacceptable answer." And he was just kind of like, "Hmm." Like, these people don't care. I mean, Julie, if you want to tell our audience again about the children's book that Kash Patel wrote
Oh, yes, yes,
about
yes.
Donald Trump, like, just to, again, like, just shed light on how absolutely insane these people are.
I'm going to actually drop this newsletter that I wrote about it because in the chat, because I want people to actually, if you want more information, it's kind of psychotic. Like, we don't have to really go into all of it, but I'm going to pull it up. But real quickly, before I do that, he wrote a trilogy, a children's trilogy, where the King Donald, lost an election. And let's start with the fact that I don't think monarchies or kings get elected, but hey, maybe they do in this fantasy. His election is trying to be thwarted by Hillary Clinton and all of these, I forgot the heralds, and the heralds have little monikers called CNN and I think like ABC and basically mainstream media. And they're all coming up with a Roussonia conspiracy. This is a Roussonia conspiracy to conspire that Roussonia helped him out with this election. But that's okay because the great wizard, Cash the Wizard, shows up and slays them all and saves King Donald and effectively saves the day. And all of them are either killed or whatever happens in your typical fairy tale. I just want to be clear. This fairy tale is coming true because this man is now in charge of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And I just want people to think about this. The next time somebody gets indicted, by the United States Attorney for whichever district they're in, or their house is raided by the FBI, are you going to trust it? Like, are you going to trust law enforcement now to do the right thing? Let's say that Michelle or I or any other person who you watch who does not like Donald Trump is suddenly brought up on charges of whatever they want to say,
right?
Tax evasion or whatever typical, I don't know, election fraud or whatever.
Or just terrorism. I mean, they're just going to keep,
terrorism, right?
reinventing
Like,
the definition, right?
With Kash Patel running the FBI, with Pam Bondi running the Department of Justice, they're the ones who always cast doubt upon politically motivated prosecutions. They're the ones that have tried to do everything they can to undermine the rule of law. And that's what's happening now because no person in their right mind would trust it.
And unfortunately, the media will just report it as.
And the media reported as fact. I mean, as fact. I just have to pull up this Kash Patel thing because it's such a bloody.
Well, and I think the thing that just drives me nuts about all of these people is that they're so not that smart and they're not creative and they're not particularly good at anything except for just being awful. And to come up, it's not clever. It's just so, I don't know. It's not even second rate, third rate. These people would not succeed at anything else except for the fact that Donald Trump became president and he has a tendency to put forward people who are terribly unqualified to be doing anything and platforming people who would never be children's books writers or would never be singers like his daughter-in-law who trying to have a pop star career. Like, it's just like none of these people are particularly good at anything. And I think that's the thing. I was like, if they were really smart, or clever, I might have like a little more respect for it, but I just really just don't. Like,
I just put it in the chat. It's under the Salty Politics, that link. I don't think.
Okay, let me find it.
Read to you. Let me just read to you the opening paragraph here, so you know what I'm talking about. first of all, he has a tendency to refer to himself as Cash, and it's K$H.
I can't. What is he, Kesha?
Yeah, like Kesha, exactly like Kesha, except it's Cash. It's exactly what it is, like Kesha, right?
Oh my God.
Because the grift is a point of pride in Trump's orbit, right? Like the grift is what's important. And then his qualifications center around total obeisance to Trump, who starred in Patel's children's trilogy, The Plot Against the King. The king is Donald Trump. Among the villains in the book are Hillary Clinton and the Heralds, who are monikers identifying them as CNN, NYT, which is New York Times, and The Post, which is, I guess, the Washington Post, not the sainted New York Post, which, of course, they all love. Despite the forces arrayed against him, the king pulls off a surprise electoral victory. Undeterred, the Heralds and Hillary Clinton team up to spread the hoax that the Rousseauians interfered in the king's election. Luckily, the one person who can vanquish the king's enemies is a wizard named Cash, who does it seamlessly with little effort. None of these villains is a match for his genius and unswerving loyalty to the king. You guys, I had to read this shit to write this thing. Like, I actually read the book. I did not purchase it. I did not spend a dime on it. But I did get my hands on the trilogy. It is psychotic, but it's also something that I think is very important. What they try to do is indoctrinate kids. Nope, it's not Casual Observer. It's not even that. I'm going to type in how he does it. It's not. You're giving him too much credit. It's this.
It's what? Hold on. Oh gosh. Okay.
There's no A. There's no vowels.
It's that.
Okay, $H.
It's just ksh.
Ksh.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, don't give this guy credit. He does not buy vowels. So like the indoctrination, and again, I know I bring this up all the time. You guys, I grew up in the Soviet Union. The indoctrination started on day one. I think I've told the story before, but when I came home, I was living with my grandparents. I came home and I asked my grandmother when I was like maybe 4, Grandma, what's more important, bread or Lenin? Now, Vladimir Lenin had been dead for about 50 years by that point. And she said, very carefully, because you couldn't say much more than what she said. She said, well, you know, that's a good question, but bread's really important. You have to eat bread every day to survive. Like, you need bread. We didn't have much food there, so bread was like basically what we were living on. And she said, and I said, oh no, Grandma, no, you're wrong about that. Lenin is much more important. The guy had been dead for 50 years. But that's how early the indoctrination began. And that is what these children's books are doing. It's not just a joke like, ha, 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 this guy's writing stupid children's books about Hillary Clinton and how, King Donald.
I know, it's just.
You buy this for your little MAGA children, or you buy it because, hey, this is an interesting book. It looks like an interesting new children's book. I don't even know what's in it, but I'm going to buy it. And all of a sudden, your little kid is coming home and saying, who's Hillary Clinton? And why is she trying to screw King Donald? And why is, think about it. Think about it.
Well, this, right. And the Trump Bibles.
Education.
Right. The Trump Bibles in the school system in Oklahoma? Is that where it is? The superintendent of the schools of Oklahoma is trying to indoctrinate the children there by buying all the Trump Bibles. And then is that the same state where they're putting the 10 Commandments in the classrooms?
No, that's Texas, I think. It is the same state where they just passed a law saying that you have to teach election denialism as part of the curriculum. So you have to teach that the 2020 election was stolen. The children of Oklahoma now have to be taught that the 2020 election was stolen.
Like, this is like having to teach creationism in biology class. Like,
But worse in some ways, because creationism, like whatever, doesn't really, you want to be a dope and think that Adam and Eve were real, like, great. I shouldn't say dope for all of you people who believe in it. I'm just saying that I think science has proven that.
Right,
science has proven. 2 people living in the Garden of Eden. But more relevantly, I also think it's important for people to note that they're being taught right now that the election was stolen, which means that the next election the Democrats win clearly will also be stolen, which means that every election is stolen. And therefore, if you're a patriot, what do you do if an election does not go your way? You must rise up.
Yeah. And those kids are going to be voting in 10 years, probably,
Oh, yeah, less, because they're probably teaching this in the high school curriculum right now. So, it's only been 100 days. And that's what I keep thinking about. We have almost 4 more years of this to go. If we're lucky. because I think it's going to go longer than that, because there is no way we're having an election again in 4 years, or at least one that's sane. I am of the belief more and more and more. And again, I'm not one of those people who I'm kind of sometimes more optimistic than I probably should be about everything. But I'm now at the point where I believe firmly that they're doing this right now to get us to the point where we just explode and rise up. And this is their opportunity to suspend habeas corpus, to suspend the Constitution, to put people in, to detain people for subverting terrorism, suborning terrorism, excuse me, not subverting, suborning terrorism, and to suspend the Constitution. And as I've said all along, who's going to stop him? The courts.
Yeah.
Don't have an army. The courts.
That's my thing. That's
federal
my
marshal.
thing. And like, even just last night on MSNBC, Andrew Wiseman, is that his name? I mean, God bless, he's a brilliant man, but he was saying, he's like, this is why this isn't going to happen. And this is why this is, and I'm like,
these lawyers have got to stop. These lawyers have got to
I'm like,
stop.
you guys, like, there's no one stopping him. Literally no one. And if anything, we've been shown over and over and over again that, you know, and Tim Snyder has written about this, that, you know, if you carry a weapon, you carry a gun for your job in the line of duty, God bless. But unless those people say no and refuse illegal or unconstitutional orders, like, there is nothing stopping this, because the judiciary does not have the power to enforce. And who's in charge of the U.S. Marshals? The executive branch. Like, there's no, I mean, the only option here is like state governments. But I mean, here's another thing. And if you go and watch, there's Adam Ruins Everything, who's a guy who does these like long form explainers. They're very, very good, very, very clever. He does one on the militarization of local police departments, and how kind of leftover equipments, if you will, have been sold at very low prices to local police departments all over the country. And that's why police departments now have like tanks and shit like that. And they are over militarized. And that's why they use all this force, because they can. And so when you have that kind of mentality so deeply ingrained into local law enforcement, and then they're emboldened even politically. I mean, because you look at the police benevolence associations and the local law. I mean, who do they support? I'm not going to say all of them, but a large majority of them support Donald Trump and support this kind of government, authoritarian government.
I just, you know, I'm in Pennsylvania on weekends. I do this show from Pennsylvania, and I've said this before. Down the street here, there is somebody who outside their house has the flag. Jesus is my savior and Donald Trump is my president. So I just want you to understand how wackadoodle it is. Because if anybody ever said Barack Obama is my savior, Jesus is my savior and Barack Obama is my president,
like, you need to go see someone.
Like, you need to go see somebody. Because as Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And I'm going to stop quoting Proverbs or scripture here because I don't know what I'm talking about. But I will also say that down the street, there are many, many, many houses that have the thin blue line flag.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Flying right next to their Donald Trump flag, or next to their fuck Joe Biden flag. Pick your poison, right? And like, ever since January 6th, I've actually wanted to knock on these people's doors, and I won't because I don't want to get shot. But like, I want to actually ask them, like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, you support the police?
Only the police that do their bidding. It's like,
really? What do you support exactly?
I know. It's you know, where I grew up in very rural, conservative part of northern New York. It's very similar. You see Trump flags and Confederate flags in rural America in the north. All kinds of stuff. And, you know, half my family comes from law enforcement on my mom's side. And, you know, while I love them because they're my family, I don't agree with them on anything. And it is police, 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 police. And it's, you know, can do no wrong. And listen, police officers have a very, very dangerous and difficult job. And I have all the respect in the world for those people who are keeping us safe. It's the other stuff, it's the hypocrisy that I don't understand. So when you have the Capitol Police officers and the Metropolitan Police putting their bodies between an angry mob who's trying to kill them and members of Congress, both Republican and Democrat, trying to protect them and save their lives. And you've got these people who were there in the name of Donald Trump beating these police officers with American flagpoles, spraying bear spray in their faces so badly that they can't breathe. Michael Fanone had a heart attack. They were being tased. I mean, all kinds of things. I mean, like the injuries are vast. I mean, there's a lot of injuries from a lot of police officers we never hear about because there's only a very small few of these law enforcement individuals who have spoken up. And look what's happened since they have. I mean, they've been harassed. Michael Fanone's mother has been swatted at her own house, had feces thrown at her in her front yard.
What is wrong with you? Like you're swatting somebody's mother?
I just
like what is wrong with you?
I know.
For what?
This is like the new thing. It's crazy.
Somebody here asked me who published Kash Patel's book. I just looked it up. It was published by Brave Books. Brave Books is a Christian publishing company that makes books for kids that reinforce biblically based foundational values.
That sounds about right.
Biblically based foundational values.
Well, this is where MAGA has been very smart and crafty, is that they have created an entirely separate universe of commerce and, e-commerce. There's like coffee companies that are MAGA. It's like, oh, you want coffee, but you want MAGA coffee. You want to give your coffee money to people who share your values. And it's not just like, oh, this company gives money to things I care about. It's like, no, this is like an authoritarian, fascist supporting company that you're going to buy your coffee from now. And it's, got American flags and shit all over it. And these things exist. I mean, I manage a few YouTube accounts, right, for work and whatever, and my own self. And whenever I'm on the Seneca Project YouTube page, and like that algorithm is very different. And I'm often fed a lot of political advertising, but on the right too. It's weird. It's a mix of wellness stuff and like quackery, like health stuff.
Well, that's
and
like Robert Kennedy stuff, of course.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, oh, do you need to poop? Take this poopy powder stuff. And it's like, it's probably made by who knows, but I say the poopy thing because I actually did get served that ad this morning. But the other stuff is like super MAGA right-wing corporate, like buy this thing that's like, patriotic whiskey or it's patriotic this. And it's that. And also they've implemented themselves into sports. I mean, the soft power of MAGA is spreading.
And somebody here in Haiti, who I think you're in Canada, right? Haiti said, we're all the former presidents. We're all the former Republicans. Crickets. Why is it on all the people? So great question. And I actually asked somebody who's very close to George Bush that question, who was at Kennebunkport with him,
Interesting. Yeah.
At some point in the last year. And I said, where is he? What's going on? Well, privately, he'll talk about it, but blah, blah, blah. He doesn't really want to privately.
What does that do?
Like I give a rat's ass what George Bush thinks privately.
Right. The Bushes are very similar to the Kennedys in the fact that they are all very protective of each other and they don't say anything. And
well,
they don't
the Kennedys at least came out against Robert.
Well, yeah. His siblings, especially Jack and his mom, Caroline.
With Bush, it's like, you don't criticize where was I? I was doing some show and I'm trying to remember which show I was doing. Oh, I was doing like ABC the other day. And I was on with a former Republican congressman who, by the way, is not a MAGA guy, who is a normal moderate Republican who's no longer in Congress because he didn't want to even deal with this, who was critical of Joe Biden's interview on The View.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because, why is he coming out for? It's really unseemly for former presidents to criticize. I go, have you met Donald Trump? Did you see what was going on in the interregnum for 4 years?
He was doing rallies. I mean, here's the other. Oh my God,
like
this
what?
is why.
And he was, yes, I know, but this is unseemly, and it was wrong when Trump did it. It's wrong when Biden
Jesus
does it.
Christ, these
Are we
people,
still
man.
living? Like, are we still following Robert's Rules of Order here? Like, what? This is what I'm saying. These people don't get it, and it's the same thing as Bush. I'm sure he thinks it is unseemly. It just isn't done. What, do you not understand that we're not living in this world anymore? The days of some horrible
It's over.
tsunami, the days of some horrible tsunami in Asia happening, and George Bush Sr. and Bill Clinton, who were adversaries, flying there together and raising money together for tsunami relief.
Those days are gone.
Over. Wake up. And they're not coming back. And if you think that you're going to be patrician and you're going to be playing by these Robert's Rules of Order, and somehow you, George Bush, sitting in Kennebunkport with your oil paintings or whatever, the watercoloring, whatever the hell he's doing, is going to bring those days back single-handedly, nobody's looking to you anymore. I don't even know if it matters if Bush does anything, because the reality is everybody who likes Bush doesn't like Trump anyway.
Yeah, I know.
But
It's part of the.
But for your own legacy, your own sanity, your own everything.
Yeah, because in your obituary will say this person was president, blah 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 blah,
Killed
and
a
in
lot
the
of
end,
people in Iraq, was really
Right.
responsible for a lot of shit, including an
Correct.
economic collapse and the worst natural disaster release, and God knows when.
Mhm.
Plus the war in Iraq. So it's not going to be a good obituary anyway, Mr. President. The only way it's
No.
better now is because
Yes, save yourself.
compared to your Republican successor, you're slightly better, although remains to be seen who actually is responsible for killing more people. But
Yeah.
I guess the administration is young, so Trump still has time to exceed that by far. But we're like, I don't know, and frankly, I don't know if anybody wants to hear from him. I don't know if anybody even wants to hear from Obama and Clinton anymore.
I honestly don't. I mean, like, here's the thing. If you come to my apartment, you'll see in my hallway, we have framed New York Times from the day after Barack Obama won. We have the Detroit News where my husband lived at the time. We have that newspaper. We have we have Hillary Clinton getting the nomination. We have a little card from the White House where we invited Barack Obama to our wedding. Because when you do that, by the way, if you send an invitation to the White House, they send back something congratulating you on your wedding. It's actually very sweet. So we have that framed up here. Like I have pictures that I've taken of Pete Buttigieg and Hillary Clinton and things that when I was. So anyway, I say all that because I have all these people because I admire them and also just mementos of that. But I will be the first one to say that I've been very disappointed in Barack Obama in the last couple of years. Listen, he was out campaigning for Kamala, but I didn't really appreciate what and how they did Joe Biden pretty dirty. And I don't like the way that they did it. And his little minions from Pod Save America and everybody else. Like, I thought it was really awful. I wish that Barack Obama had spoken up more. He has the power, I still think, now to be out there and kind of leading the charge. Maybe he just feels like his time is over. I don't know. He's still a very young, vibrant man, in my opinion.
That's a good question, Michelle. I don't know that I want to hear from Barack Obama anymore, because I will tell you, and I've said this before, I trace Donald Trump's rise to the fact that Barack Obama held nobody responsible. Nobody responsible for the collapse in 2008.
Oh, gosh.
All the Wall Street guys just skated. And I don't know if I ever told this story publicly.
Nobody went to jail.
But I'm going to tell you a story right now that I think is going to inform what happened. So in 2008, and I can tell this story because he's now passed away, my beloved Frank Lautenberg, who was a former senator who I was a consultant for and just truly loved. And if anybody here doesn't know who Senator Frank Lautenberg was, he was responsible for so much good legislation. And I said to his son recently, I only wish your father was still around, because he would be on the floor every day and doing much more than any of these people are doing. He was a brawler. I love that guy. But anyway, in 2008, I was doing Frank Lautenberg's last Senate race, and the market collapsed. This is September when everything collapsed. And there's an emergency call. It was like a Friday, I think. There's an emergency call that Harry Reid, who was then the majority leader, convened for the entire Senate. And no, actually, I'm sorry. He convened it for the Democratic caucus to talk about a bailout. If you remember, Bush wanted a bailout, and there were Democrats who were like, we're not bailing out Wall Street. What is this bullshit? And we're not doing this. This is ridiculous. So Harry Reid convenes a call, and Lautenberg, I happen to be in his office, and he puts the call on speaker, and he says, he lets me listen to it. And I was like, all right, great. So on this call is like the John Kerrys of the world and the Bernie Sanderses of the world, and just name them all in 2008. And Ted Kennedy, all of them, they're all there. And Reid brings in the chairman of the Fed, and he brings in the Secretary of the Treasury, both of whom are obviously, the Fed is the Fed, but the chairman of the Treasury, Secretary of the Treasury, Hank Paulson at the time, former chairman of Goldman Sachs, was George Bush's Secretary of the Fed. And Secretary of Treasury. And they get on. And it's obvious that Reid had planned the whole thing with them. The whole thing was coordinated because Reid wanted the bailout. And there was a lot of pushback from these Democratic senators. And they start giving their spiel about why Wall Street has to be bailed out. And you hear Bernie Sanders who's in some airport somewhere. You just hear, I can't do a good Bernie impression, but he's like, I'm not bailing these people out. This is absurd.
We are not bailing out the banks.
That's exactly very good. Michelle does a great impression. I'm not bailing out the bank. I can't do it, but yeah, like I'm not bailing the taxpayers, or the people are starving and they should not be bailing out the banks. Everything you'd expect Bernie to say. And then John Kerry, who of course has more money than all of us combined between him and his wife, jumps in. He had just been the nominee 4 years earlier. He's like, yes, I have a problem with bailing this out. This is not a good look for us. And why are we bailing out Wall Street when people are really panicking? And this is, we shouldn't be bailing them out. And then, like, of course, as always happens, everybody else jumps in and is like, yes, this is a bad idea, bad idea. At which point, I believe it was Paulson, says, I just want to say something. And he said, senators, I just want you to know, if we don't get this bailout done in the next, I forgot what it was, 24, 48, 72 hours, whatever it was, all of your portfolios will be eviscerated. The stock market will collapse, and you will look at your portfolios and they will be empty. And within 5 seconds, that call was over and the bailout was done. And I say that because that is the reason that nobody held Wall Street accountable, because they were told, including Barack Obama, that if you put the head of of Lehman Brothers, put any of these people, if you do anything to prosecute them for what they did to the economy, for the fact that they played fast and loose with all of these junk bonds, that they packaged these mortgages, that they sold these mortgages knowing, they predatorily sold these mortgages to people that they knew were going to be unable to pay them, so they could repackage them into junk bonds and resell them on the market, which is what they did. And that's what led to the collapse. It wasn't Fannie and it wasn't Freddie, despite what the Republicans want you to think. It was that. It was the arbitrage. It was the bullshit, the stuff that Wall Street was doing. And nobody was held accountable. But if you held them accountable, I am convinced that Obama believed, because he was told by the same people, if you do that, the markets will tank. And then what's going to happen? It's going to be even worse. And I am not a financial expert enough to know whether that's true or not. But I do know that when people saw Wall Street getting bailed out, even as normal people were losing their homes or losing all the equity in their homes or losing all the money that they saved up their entire lives, gone and eviscerated, that they said, this is bullshit. The elites have screwed us, and they were not wrong. And here comes Donald Trump at that precise moment to basically harness that zeitgeist. So if you want to know why.
And then came the Tea Party too. Yeah.
The Tea Party. But if you want to know why I believe that we are where we are today, I think Barack Obama has a lot of blame to go around on that, because he was president. He had the perfect excuse. It's Bush's fault. I'm going to blame George Bush for this. And I'm going to throw one hostage, just one. I'm going to throw a hostage on the tarmac to show Wall Street that if they fuck around again, sorry, Dad, they won't be able to do this ever again.
Yeah.
and I know I sound like Bernie Sanders here, and I'm speaking purely from a political perspective here,
Yeah.
as to who's responsible for harnessing this populist anger. And part of it was Barack Obama. And look, Joe Biden went on The View the other day and took credit. They asked him point blank, do you take responsibility for Trump? And he said, yes, I do. I was president. I could have stopped him, and I was unable to do that. I've never heard Obama take responsibility for this, as far as I know.
It's funny.
And I'm sorry. Somebody here said Obama got Osama. I'm not suggesting.
Yeah, no, I think Barack Obama did a lot of great things.
He was a great president in many ways. I'm just telling you who's responsible for harnessing the anger that you saw that then Donald Trump capitalized on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, people lost their homes. I mean, it was the little guys. It was the little people that suffered from the 2008 collapse. We all know that. And there was a growing resentment in the horseshoe as well. It was the far right and the far left kind of, the Occupy Wall Street movement as well, which unfortunately, the energy was great, but there was no coordination or organization with the Occupy Wall Street movement at all. I say that as somebody who I walked down there to Zuccotti Park and saw what was going on, and there wasn't a whole lot of anything going on down there. But I also stood outside Lehman Brothers for 4 or 5 hours the day that they started clearing the offices out. It was that day. Robert Fold, was that the CEO?
Lehman? Yeah, I can't remember.
Lehman, I think that's what his name was. And people like that, they walked away from all the bad stuff that they did and were participating in with millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Like, they walked away rich and nobody else did. And, that's what The Big Short is, another great movie that I always recommend to people to watch. Margin Call's another one. To your point, Julie, like, nobody was held responsible. Nobody. It's just, again, the country just moved on. And I mean, I think every single time there's a president who doesn't hold the previous administration accountable for the things that they did. I mean, Richard Nixon was pardoned by Gerald Ford. Was never ever held accountable for what he did. The list goes on and on and on. And I understand that also in America, we can't be spending, presidencies going after political opponents or whatever. But I just don't think that that's what this is, because I think that regular middle-class Americans especially watch decade after decade people in power getting richer and doing things that they shouldn't be doing and breaking the law and not being held accountable at all. Donald Trump came along and said, I alone can fix it, and I'm here for you, and I'm your retribution, and I'm this. And people really just think that that's real, and it's not.
Yeah, there's somebody here, Dindiel, who said the bailout had to happen, Julie, to save the economy. The whole world would be in chaos. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing that the bailout had to happen. I'm saying to you that after the bailout happened, somebody should have been held responsible.
Yep.
That's
absolutely.
It. Just pick one.
So somebody should have gone to jail.
Hank Greenberg, any of these people. His daughter was my GP at one point, so sorry. I'm not suggesting that Wall Street didn't need to be bailed out. I'm just saying that politically, people needed a scapegoat, because otherwise, and by the way, what's happened now is that all of these banks are even more consolidated than they were. They're even more too big to fail than they were prior to 2008. So if you think the next time this happens, we're not going to have an even bigger collapse.
Oh, and listen, they're finding ways. I mean, the deregulation that's coming, and it's coming. It's going to get much, much worse. So my husband is a banking regulatory attorney. He works on Wall Street, and make sure that his, the bank that he works for complies with new laws that have come since then, like Dodd-Frank and the Volcker Rule and things like that try to keep these financial institutions in line from these things that happened before, so they won't happen again. But there will be more and more and more deregulation, like especially with somebody like Donald Trump. And I would look at the businesses that I mean, what is the headline yesterday, that his sons have gone around the world now? I mean, this is an emoluments thing, but how much money that they've made? Billions. I mean, the Trump family has made billions.
We don't even know, because here's the deal. They set up a sketchy crypto fund.
Yeah.
They set up So there's there is the Trump, again, $, all caps Trump
Right.
meme coin. There's the $ Melania meme coin. And then there is World Financial Lenders, which is a crypto company that is run by Steve Witkoff's son, by the way, just so people know the connection, which the Trumps own 80% stake in. And all of that money coming in does not need to be disclosed. So we actually don't know how much they've made, but we do know that they think, there's a story, I think in the New York Times the other day, that most of the money coming in is foreign money. There's my dog. That's an emoluments issue. And that's a big problem because we are being, the president of the United States is being bribed by somebody. And I believe that these tariffs, this 90-day pause that he gave to countries is not to negotiate a good deal, because it's not like competing with anybody. It's to see who wants to pony up crypto money to enrich them and his kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's more real estate deals in the Middle East and other, I mean, it's just, there is no end to this. And that's another reason. I mean, in addition to the fact that none of these people ever want to be held accountable, that I just don't think that they're ever going to leave. Like, there's just, why would they? Any of these people, they're all getting insanely wealthy and more powerful. And it's like, why would these people like the Peter Thiels and the Elon Musks of the world, and Donald Trump and his cronies, like, why would they ever give this up if they don't have to? And have to go back to a time where they weren't making as much money and they have all this power and all they have the means.
And there's no oversight, not to mention that they have all of our personal information.
Right. And that's, I mean, and there was a story, I think it was in the Post yesterday, the day before, that Elon Musk is now creating a very large database with all of our information. Now, this isn't just like our banking passwords and stuff. This is our banking account numbers. This is our social security information, which anytime you have to give your social security number for anything, whether it be your taxes or your health care, anything like that. So they now have access to our healthcare information. In addition to, this is where RFK Jr. comes in, and they want to make registries for people who have depression or use antipsychotics or autism or anything like that. I mean, that's where they're going to put us in these databases where they can pull, and AI will be able to do this very quickly, be able to pull out any amount of data about our lives, or, what category that we fall under. And who's to say that if we do or say something that they don't like, show up at a protest or say something on Facebook about Donald Trump, that they're just not going to shut off your health insurance, or they're not going to shut off your banking information, or not or
release it publicly.
Yeah. And I saw somebody wrote HIPAA. I'm like,
oh, HIPAA's gone out the window.
Yeah,
by the way, I mean,
mas HIPAA.
Think about if you have think about if you have a child who's going through issues, and that child needs to be on antidepressants, or that child has tried to harm him or herself, or something that's really troubling. And you are somebody Donald Trump doesn't like.
Yep.
You really want that information in the wrong hands or publicly out there? And what that will do to your child?
Yep. For the rest of their lives.
If that information were out there and his classmates or her classmates knew about it, or prospective employers knew about it.
This is like Black Mirror. I don't know if anybody watches that show, Black Mirror, but it's like, this is all of that kind of coming to fruition. And, it's just to bring it back to the Elon Musk and the South African PayPal mafia again, which their mayor, we might be hearing more about these people in the coming weeks and months, but their influence over this administration, I don't think can be underestimated. I think that it's more than just money. I mean, there was a story that came out, was it yesterday or the day before, about we're now going to allow thousands of refugees into the United States, white people from South Africa, who say that they have been persecuted for being white in South Africa. And they are now all allowed to apply for asylum in the United States. Because of who? Because of why? Because we have white South African billionaires in the ear of Donald Trump, and they're asking for these things because this is their view Peter Thiel was raised in a town in Western South Africa, which is one of the last places on earth where it was very socially acceptable to throw the Hitler sign up. This is where these people are from. This is where they were raised, and this is their worldview. And so now we have the grandsons, the white grandsons of Nazis, with billions of dollars in the ear of the American government, and they're running everything.
Did you ever read Trevor Noah's autobiography?
No, you told me though. It's really
guys,
you said it's
anybody who hasn't read Trevor Noah's autobiography, you should. It's partially funny, but partially mostly horrifically just opening and sad, and really talks about what life was like in both pre and immediately post apartheid South Africa.
Yeah,
I mean, it's we don't spend enough time actually learning about South Africa. We should, because as you pointed out, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and David Sachs, who don't sleep on him. I promise you, do not sleep on him. He is now the crypto czar in the White House, also South African. Runs a massive podcast for all the crypto bros.
And his Twitter account is all Russian propaganda, by the way.
All Russian propaganda. To the point of you must have to ask yourself, what's
going on here?
Why is he at all Russian propaganda? Maybe we'll find out soon. But but don't sleep on these three guys.
Never ever.
They are in charge of the government. And if they are in charge of the government and they have tremendous influence over the United States, and somebody has tremendous influence over them, then you got to wonder what is going on here.
This is, I mean, and that I know that there's
Morgan. Sorry. Yes, we can absolutely give a shout out to Allison Riggs for finally getting the North Carolina Supreme Court. Yes. And yes.
Absolutely.
And yes.
Absolutely.
They did everything they could to subvert that election. Trial run. What they're going to try to do.
Absolutely. They always tell us what they're going to do and what they plan to keep doing. And that's just another example of it. And I just want to give a shout out too, because there is a handful of people from South Africa who watch us. And they're always like, we're not all bad. And I'm like,
no, you're not.
Absolutely.
You're not all bad
you're
either.
all, I feel for you in the same way you probably feel for us, that we are not representative of the government or the, some of the horrible things that this country does. Like, no, we feel for you and we see you and we just, we're all on the same team here. So,
oh my God, of course. And if there are people who are joining us from Russia who don't like their government, I'm sure you're not, because I'm sure they're jamming these transmissions.
I know.
Cool for you too. Like, please, we don't hold you responsible.
No way.
The horrors of what your country used to be like.
We're all citizens of the world, just trying to live free and be happy.
All right. I have got to go take my son to a sports event, as always.
I'm gonna go take a walk in the beautiful Central Park.
Oh, okay.
My big backyard. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do today.
Have a wonderful time.
Thank
Everybody, we will hopefully have Tara back next week with us. I'm sure we will. So I think for those of you who joined after Joe left.
And I do want to say happy Mother's Day to you, Julie. Happy Mother's Day tomorrow. Happy Mother's Day to JoJo, who's not here anymore. She took off. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms that are watching. And also a happy Mother's Day for anyone who this day is very difficult for whatever reason. And also I just want to say happy Mother's Day to my mom. And also happy birthday to my dad. My dad turns 75 tomorrow. So
happy birthday, Mr. Kinney.
Happy
Mother's Day to your Mrs. Kinney. Happy Mother's Day to my mom. And I want to also say, just to echo everything you said, happy Mother's Day to all the women who are not moms themselves, but help us raise our kids. And the fur moms. Yes.
And the fur mommies. I'm one of those.
Yep.
I actually got an email from my vet yesterday that was like, happy Mother's Day to Sterling and Oliver's mom. And I was like, huh? I was like, okay, thanks. That was very nice.
But listen, I know it's not an easy day for a lot of people. And so I want to acknowledge that. But more relevantly, I had so many women and still have so many women who helped me raise my son who are not moms themselves. But I always say Mother's Day is not just for me, it's for all of them. So happy Mother's Day to all of you. And to all the guys out there who are supporting the moms in their life, thank you. to all the guys out there who are trolling us and acting like crazy MAGA people. We love that you're here. You're helping us with our algorithm.
Like
Please
seriously, like please seek help.
well, not only that, but you think you're owning us actually, you, because you guys are helping our algorithm. So we're very, very
and also like we've taken your time. So you
know.
know.
Thank you for listening. By the way, and thank you for listening to us. Maybe some of what we said
resonates.
I don't think so, but hope springs eternal.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. And we will see you next Wednesday at noon. Oh, big announcement. We have a special guest.
Oh, yes.
Joining us
on
next
Wednesday.
Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut, who is the ranking member on the Select Committee on Intelligence. So if you want to hear about Signalgate, or you want to hear about what the hell is going on in the world and how screwed we really should feel, I'm not sure he's going to give up any intelligence secrets, but I think he could probably tell us a little bit more information about Signalgate that maybe we're not aware of. Please join us at noon on Wednesday for that. And we will see you right back here next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another coffee and conversation. Hopefully that one will be a little bit later than this one was, but sorry, the Baraka thing in Newark really just.
Yeah, no, it's we've crossed a line here, and it deserved the conversation.
And one final thing before we go, apparently breaking news just now, apparently the White House tweeted that they have negotiated a settlement between Pakistan and India, a ceasefire between Pakistan and India. India has rejected that and said there is a ceasefire, but the United States had nothing to do with it. So Trump is going to take credit for something he had nothing to do with. But anyway, hopefully we're 1 millimeter further back from the nuclear Armageddon that was
absolutely. All
right.
All right, everyone. Yes, happy birthday, Dad. Happy Mother's Day. See you all next week. Bye.